Hello everyone, I am so excited to share with you this video on how to have effective online meetings with your teams. Thank you for joining me on this presentation where I'm going to be sharing with you about how to have effective online meetings. Online Meetings 101. I'm going to be sharing with you tips and ideas on how you can have the best experience not only for yourself, but also your teams. Before we go on any further, I want to let you know that I made this entire presentation using Canva. You can go to canva.com and give them some Canva love. Not only can you make presentations, you can make graphics, you can make flyers, you can make posters, you can make any social media graphics you want. But even more important than that, you can even have things printed. I've even had shirts printed with Canva. And in case you're wondering, there's no promotional considerations for this. Canva did not pay me to tell you this. I am telling you this because I want you to know about Canva and how amazing it is to use that platform. So let's get started with learning more about why you should be listening to me. So I've been doing online meetings for a long time and I've chosen Zoom as my preferred platform. And it may seem like now everybody's using Zoom because of the coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic, but I need to let you know that Zoom has already been a champion of online meetings for a very long time. It's just that now they're the shining star and it's very clear they're the leader in this industry. So the very first tip I have for you is to get dressed. It's important for you to see your online meeting as the experience that you would be having in the office setting. Sometimes you could have the opportunity to look casual because you're thinking, oh, I'm at home, everybody knows that I'm working from home. But it's important when you're having that meeting to project professionalism so that the meeting is taken seriously. The next thing is to make sure that your systems are working. When you're having an online meeting, it's important that you don't have any other programs running because they could interfere with the success you will have in your online meeting. So if you're having a Zoom meeting, I would go ahead and close out all the other programs you have running, especially your email. I would even close your notifications or whatever systems that would come and interrupt this online meeting. That way, when you're ready to have your meeting, there's no interruptions, and it's as simple as when you're having a face-to-face meeting, closing the door to make sure that nobody is interrupting the meeting that you're having. Next thing is to always make sure you have an agenda. It's very easy for you to walk into an online meeting just assuming that, oh, it's just like a face-to-face meeting and we're just going to talk through it. But if you don't have an agenda, then you don't know who's leading the meeting and you don't know what the next thing is, what the next thing that needs to be said is. And when you have an agenda, then everyone is prepared and they know when it's their turn to speak and no one's jumping on top of each other to talk, right? Because you're not face-to-face and you can't see each other as clearly. Yes, if people have video on, you can see their body language, but it's very important for all team members to be able to be prepared and to ask the right questions if they need to so that they can know whether their questions will be answered later from the agenda or they should ask them as the presentation is going along. Next thing is to make sure you stick to the allotted time, especially in this time when we're scheduling all these online meetings. When people pop into an online meeting, they're waiting for the other attendees to participate. And so it's important to make sure you're being It's important to make sure that you're being mindful to everyone's schedule and prepare your agenda so that you can get through your objectives and not waste everyone's time on information that was not necessary. Next is to make sure you're giving this presentation your full attention. In fact, I would recommend that you have 2 monitors when you're running your online meeting because it's important for you to be able to shift gears as quickly as you may need to without feeling distracted within the meeting. So if you do need to be send a quick email to your team or have some action items while you're having a meeting, then you should be able to do that. But at the same time, or if you're taking your notes online, you should be able to have a place to take your notes, so having double monitors helps. But the most important thing to make sure is that you're in this meeting and you're not loaded into the meeting plus also doing other things. So be fully present. The other thing is to have some etiquette. I call it the muting etiquette when you're in your online meetings. If you are not speaking, please mute. And you'll find that while you're using Zoom or any other platform, that there's some shortcuts you can use. For example, if you're using Zoom, if you're on mute, simply pressing on the space bar will unmute you for the period of time you want to talk. And then when you let go of the space bar, it mutes you so that you can very quickly just get used to unmuting yourself by just hitting the space bar without trying to find your mouse and try to figure out where the unmute button is. You can just very quickly unmute yourself. Next thing is to always announce your arrival. Not everybody has gallery view or has the view to see everybody who showed up on the screen. So as soon as you pop up into an online meeting, whether or not you have your video on, you should always tell everybody, hello, Liza here. That's what I usually do. I say Lisa's here and I announce myself so that everybody can see that I have arrived. And if I was the last person to arrive, then the meeting is ready to get started. The next thing is to make sure you're managing the chaos. So I know it's difficult at this time. My entire family is home with us as we're trying to stay safe. But it's important to make sure that if you know you have a very important meeting coming up, make sure you let your family know. My husband is my teammate as we're trying to work at home together. So if I know I have an important meeting coming up, I'll let him know and be like, hey, I have a meeting at 2. What do you have going on at 2? And if he doesn't have anything, then I'll say, okay, could you make sure the kids don't barge into my office? That way I can have a productive meeting. When that does happen, I am prepared for it. I don't expect things to go perfectly. So I always know if something negative happens and I just prepare myself to deal with it at that point. But the other thing I've done is I've made a sign and I'm going to stand up. I've made a sign, I'm going to show it to you. I made this sign. And I mean, I could have printed it out, but at that point I just felt like drawing something, so I drew it. And I made this sign only because I really wanted, when I have some specific meetings that I don't want to be interrupted, I had that sign up, but I haven't used it for about a week. So I made it for a period of time when I had some critical meetings, but I'm not using it all the time. So when my boys see that sign up, they know, oh, mommy's having an important meeting, but they don't expect it to be there all the time. So I don't have it all the time on there. I only have it when I'm having critical online meetings where I have to be front and center and focused. The next thing is to make sure you wrap up your meeting. Don't assume that everybody knows it's time to leave the meeting. You need to let people know. People who may want to leave, you need to let them know that it's time, that the meeting has ended and they can leave if they want to, but they're more than welcome to stay for the chit chat if they want to. So wrapping up the meeting is as simple as saying the meeting has ended. Anybody who needs to leave is welcome to leave, but I'm going to stay on in case anybody has any other questions or if they want to just chit chat for a little bit. And that's the best way to stay productive and be conscious of everyone's time. The last thing I want to add is that it's important for you to take your time. When you have face-to-face meetings, it's a little bit different than your online meeting. So don't put too much on your plate in terms of the action items that you can accomplish. And in fact, what I found when you're using your online meetings, you're more intentional about the work that needs to be done, and things move by a lot quicker than you would expect. But at the same time, I would say take your time. There's no need to rush through any comments or actions. It's important to make sure that everybody felt heard and everybody felt like they had an opportunity to speak. If you want more ideas like this, I want you to visit PowerUp.org and join the PowerUp Network. We have a lot of ideas on how you can power up your work, actualize your potential, and learn how you can start to enjoy work and be the best version of yourself. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.